Okay, we are now 90% done with the upgrades done to the Losi 5T. Here's the body on, but let's start off with what I did with the body. First I installed a Gopro mount right on the side and right here for a rear facing GoPro. And you all know the story about the Full Force RC uh, roll cage cover. And that's it for the outside. Not a lot. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. There's one more. We got the TGN Distributing aluminum mud guard or mud flap mount. A lot of people have told me that the plastic one, when it hits, it easily breaks. So I opted to switch to aluminum. So that's pretty much it for the interior. Let's take out the body. Clips. Let me put this down real quick. All right, wait for it to refocus. But here's the body. Here's the main RC. So underneath the outerwear shock cover is an orange 14.3 pound shocks in the front, and I believe another orange in the back, and it's like about 12.8. My R2C competition series filter with an outerwear cover. A lot of people told me that if I'm going to be bashing in the mud or sand or a lot of dirt, I should opt for the oil filled or oil drenched filter instead of a dry filter. We'll see about that. I do have the stock oil, the air filter that came with the car still, so if need be, I can always switch to that. The next upgrade I did was pretty much the exhaust. It is a Uber RC version 2.5 exhaust. I got it from the majority of the things that I got are from DDM Racing, but for this one, I believe it's still sold out temporarily, or hopefully temporarily, because a lot of people have commented that they really like the look of this exhaust. Instead of pointing down over here, it's actually pointing up over the roll cage. And then I went all crazy. I got the dual steering servo mount. I got it from Model RC UK, I believe. It was for 87 British pounds, and it came out to be $105 shipped. It looks pretty well. It fits nicely. The service I opted for is the Savox waterproof SW0241 MG for the steering, and the waterproof one SW0240, if you can see it right there. And I did paint. So the steering mount comes with a silver battery box right here. Well, let me move on to the other side. It comes with a silver battery box right here, and the silver receiver box. So I painted it using a grill paint. It turned out pretty nicely. I'm really happy with how it turned out, because I didn't like the blue and silver combination. The one thing that you would notice, or I'm going to show you guys, is that the servos sit higher than the stock. So if you look over here, you can see that the brake linkage is angling upwards towards the left. That might be a problem, because it may be you're not going to have equal tension on each side. The upward motion will pretty much, like the tension on the upward motion when it happens here, when it goes to the braking side is actually gonna force the handles a bit down, and you're gonna be working against each other. But it's not that much. So what I'm planning on doing is removing this completely. And if you look in here, the horn, where is the horn? There you go, is a little bit higher on the other side. So I'm just gonna buy a regular horn, and then hopefully that decrease in the horn will even out the arms. What else did I do? Oh yeah, so I'll move on to the other side. So I opted for a Turtle Racing chassis brace, front and rear. It comes in different colors, blue, silver, and red, I believe. I wanted the blue one. It's kind of match what the tray, the servo tray, and all the other Losi blue parts come in. They're not in the same blue hue, but it's close enough. The one thing that you need to recognize, or one thing that you need to do when you install this one, if you have the DTM Racing support brace for your steering, is that you need to take this out first, and then you need to install your brace. What happened is, like, the original one is plastic, so you can push it in and plastic would bend against aluminum or be softer than aluminum. But on an aluminum and aluminum one, you really need to make sure that they mesh completely together. Otherwise, you're going to have problems. The one thing when I tried to install it first time is that the holes underneath did not line up, because this black part is pushing the blue part maybe about a ½ millimeter or a millimeter away from where the holes need to be underneath. So what I did was I took it out, and then I installed this according to the hole, lined it up, and then when I installed this one, I went in a downwards angle. So it went like downwards angle and pushed this part against the plastic part right there, right here. So, like, you know, you see this hook right here, this hook, you install it downwards like that. You push it down like that to make it easier for you. If you're lucky enough, everything will fit, or if you're installing it when you bought these two pieces together, then you can install this first and then this or that or that. But that's the kind of problem that I had when I was installing the brace. It did not fit well. But now it does fit. Everything, all the holes are aligned. And then I have the MIP rail brake kit. One problem I had with the MIP is that, well, let me move again to the other side. You're not going to be able to see it, but you have you see that silver screw right here, right there? All right, there's no problem in the front because you have enough space. But if you have the silver screw in here, and there's enough tension, or if you're flexing, that would hit your spur gear, and that could cause some problems. So what I did was, like, I adjusted the screws here outwards, and I put an E-clip right here to prevent it from moving inwards. So that E-clip does not come with the kit. I adjusted it maybe like ½ millimeter away, and now it used to be when it was according to how they want it installed. When you move it back and forth, you can hear like tuck 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 tuck, because that screw is hitting the spur gear. And the spur gears, if you guys don't know, if you can see right there, see, it has holes. So it's rubbing into the spur gear, and then when it hits a hole, it'll catch the other end. So you would hear a tuck 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 tuck, metal to metal hitting each other sound. So I had to make an adjustment for that one to make sure that never happens. And then I don't have a what do you call that? Damn, I completely forgot that name. Failsafe. I don't have a failsafe yet, but I will be installing a failsafe. And I did have a throttle return screw. I plugged it in. This is like a dynamite one that did not work in a buggy because it's so flimsy. But for a 5th scale. I installed it on one of the screws right there on the center diff brace, and then one of the screws will be attaching right here. And I did test it out. Let's see if we can put it together. There you go. So it's installed. So let's test it out. And it is strong enough to actually make the throttle return where it needs to be. So even though it was too flimsy for a buggy, it works enough for a 5th scale. And it's not necessarily something that you're only going to be using it for, and that's the only backup that you have. It's actually going to be a backup for the failsafe. The failsafe is the primary one, and then this one would be a backup. Just pretty much basically, like, you know, to make sure that you won't have a runaway or you don't hit anything while this thing is going full speed. But that's all she wrote. It's like I said, it's 90% done because I am not done yet. Once it's done to percent, I am going to list every single item that I have and pretty much come up with a video of the real cost of owning a Losi 5T, because as it is in itself, it's a pretty good truck with good parts. But you know, the one thing that modelers do and RCers do is pretty much upgrade all their stuff to better parts and work it from there. Like, I never saw myself, like, you know, just playing with a stock 5T, and I started upgrading, and the engine I'm gonna keep once it dies out, and I'm gonna upgrade that engine as well. And it's no use of like putting in a brand new engine in there when I have a perfectly good one, unless of course this engine sucks. I never had a chance to actually play with it yet or run with it yet because it's been pretty cold here in the Midwest and it's been pretty wet. Oh yeah, I forgot my mud guards that did not fit, that I had to shave off some on the carbon fiber to make sure that they fit perfectly on where the screws need to be. That's pretty much it. This is my upgraded 90% to 90% upgraded. I guess I should say it that way. 90% upgraded Losi 5T, and it's looking pretty damn good. Alright, thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon.